Hello students. Going back to our unit, which is unit 5, we have here, do you really need it? We had in our last lesson the conversation between Amal and Farah. Now the topic was about shopping in general. And through the conversation, we understood that Farah and Amal were at the shopping mall. And there, Farah gave her opinion about Amal's shopping. Now we do know from the type of conversation that they had that she was advising her against too much shopping. And she used the phrases that we discussed yesterday to show that there are other opinions about what she was doing. And of course, we know that we can use these phrases for any topic. It doesn't have to be about shopping. So we do have something to do about it. But before, let's just revise the real talk phrases that we have here. Now we have 4 words. We have beat it, we have blow, broke, and max out. So we can see that max out means to spend up to the limit. We have also blows, which means to waste money. Broke means out of money. And we also took beat it, which means to leave quickly. Now, we have the phrases. We are going to use the phrases that are advising or giving advice against something. We do have our exercise in the book or the assignment, which is to role play with a partner and imagine that you are about to do something that is enjoyable, but probably isn't a good idea. And then the book gave you many examples. So we are going to just apply the phrases in different things that we might think that they are enjoyable, but they need to be thought about again. So we have, for example, diving with sharks. So do you think that diving with sharks is something that is safe? Now I can give my advice and say, are you sure you want to do that? There are other examples, for example, like eating a lot of junk food. Now here I can say, for example, I'm afraid you're going to regret it if you ate all that junk food. And if someone tries to touch a cactus, for example, I can say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And if someone is about to leave the house without a mask, I can say, you should think carefully before you go out without a mask. So you can see that we do have several examples here. And also, although it is something that might be very exciting, like bungee jumping here, but I can advise someone and say, I don't think that's a good idea to try something so dangerous without training. Now you can see that we have here several examples. We have the conversation between Farah and Amal. Now we are going to move on from Farah and Amal and go back to the idea about the link between advertisements, and we have here marketing in general, and of course we have here the customer and shopping. So we are going to focus on one part here. Now we are going to see what do we have. We have the 3 parts. We are going to go back to our basic topic here, which is about advertisements. Now we did talk about advertisements a lot. Now we passed by. We have here several examples. You can see that we have here, for example, an advertisement for food products, body products. We also have something about restaurants and cafes, and we have household products. Now, do you remember when we passed by them, and we also had some examples in the book, like the BMX 3000 sports car. We had also the floral shampoo. We had also another example about a laundry detergent. We have here the Dynex, and we have crystal spring water. We also passed by here, you can see Planet Mercury sneakers. Now, we are going to move on to the topic of advertisements in general. You can see that advertisements, they can be very interesting. In fact, you can see them in a lot of places, and we did discuss this before. We said that you can see them in different places, but the point is, how can an advertisement be successful? So yes, there are a lot of advertisements, but when do you know that this advertisement is actually successful? Now, I have other questions for you. How can advertising be attractive to the customer? I like to watch interesting advertisements. Now, this is a statement. And we do have another question. Would you like to go shopping after seeing an ad? Have you ever seen something so tempting that you want to go shopping after that? Now here, these are 3 questions that you can put in mind, and we are going to have our next lesson, which is the listening lesson, that is about how to make advertisements attractive in general. But before we move on, let's just look at these 3 sentences that we have here. Now we have in the first question, how can advertising be attractive to the customer? And in the statement, I like to watch interesting advertisements. And in the question, would you like to go shopping after seeing an ad? Now, if you see that I pronounced the 2 in different ways, this is also something that we are going to discuss, inshallah, in our lesson. So moving on with our lesson, we are going to have the listening and pronunciation part in the unit. So we have here the first objective, to give the meanings of words based on the text. The second, to list advertisement techniques based on description. Number 3, to match between the technique and the product. And we have number 4, to differentiate and pronounce the sounds of the preposition to in sentences. So we are going to start with our first part, which is the listening lesson, which is about advertisements. Now, what do we have? What is so special about the listening lesson? We have something about advertising techniques. Now here, we are not going to listen to advertisements. We are going to listen to the techniques that are used. Now, these techniques are used to make the advertisement interesting and attract customers. Now, we have 5 different types, or actually we have 4 techniques, but we do have 5 advertisements. So let's just look at the techniques first. We have here the emotional appeal. This is a kind of technique. The bandwagon technique, endorsement, and we have the anti-bandwagon technique. Now just focus, you are going to listen to these techniques. You are familiar now with them. Now, what do you know about them? This is what you are going to learn in the listening. The bandwagon, anti-bandwagon, the endorsement, and we have the emotional appeal. Now, the 5 that I have mentioned before are going to be mentioned here in the listening part. So you are going to listen to the lecture about advertising techniques, then identify the kind of technique each product uses. Now, we have here a table which is on page number 73. Now you can see that we have here the 5 advertisements that I have mentioned, and we do have 4 techniques, so which means that 1 technique is going to be repeated or used more than once. So we have the first one, which is the Sparkle Bright toothpaste. There is an advertisement about Sparkle Bright. You are going to match or just relate between the technique and the advertisement. We have the Dew Top Cola. This is going to be the second. After that, we have here Indigo Jeans, the 3rd advertisement. The 4th is Caremark cards. And we have Safe Home Alarm Systems. So you are going to listen to the script here, which is about all 5 advertisements. So let's start.
Good morning and welcome to the class Advertising 101. You are here today because you want to learn the secrets behind how advertisers sell to consumers. As you become more familiar with the techniques advertisers use to sell their products, you will notice that these same approaches pop up again and again, selling everything from toothpaste to tires and life insurance to laundry detergent. Let's take a look at some of these techniques. Endorsements are one of the most popular types of advertising techniques. This technique shows a famous person promoting the product. Because viewers admire and want to be like the person, they may want to use the product. Here is an example. I'm famous for my smile. But I owe that smile to Sparkle Bright toothpaste. Another popular advertising technique is called the bandwagon technique. To jump on the bandwagon is an idiom that means to join something simply because it is fashionable. So when advertisements use this technique, they try to make viewers believe that they will be part of the popular crowd if they use the product. Let's listen to an example. More and more people are switching to the refreshment of Dew Top Cola. Don't you want to be one of them? The anti-bandwagon technique takes the opposite approach. It encourages consumers to feel that if they buy a certain product, they will show their individuality and be recognized as someone special. When you're ready to break away from the pack, there's indigo jeans. Think for yourself. Indigo jeans. Emotional appeal is a technique in which the advertiser tries to get the viewer to respond to the commercial with some kind of strong emotion. The advertiser wants the consumer to associate the product with the emotion. Let's listen to 2 examples of emotional appeal. Even though my mama and I live miles apart, she is always in my heart. That's why I'm sending her a Caremark card. Because when you send Caremark, you send love. Imagine if your home was burglarized in the middle of the night. What would you do? How would you keep your family safe? Luckily, with safe home alarm systems, you never have to worry about the safety of your family and your home.
Now, you can see that we had this kind of lecture. The lecture was about different advertising techniques. And in each example here, the lecturer related between the advertisement and the technique. So we can see the first one, which was about the Sparkle Bright toothpaste. He used the endorsement technique, which means that we have here something that is related to what other people, or we have here endorsement is something that is special and a special person does. We have also the Dew Top Cola, which is the bandwagon technique, which means that a lot of people, they are doing this thing and you are going with the flow. We have the indigo jeans, which is totally the opposite. We have the anti-bandwagon technique, which means that we have here something that is special and just for a special person and different from other people. We also have the Caremark cards, which use these. We said something about relations between a mother and her son or her daughter. So here you can see that there is an emotional part. Now here, this is what we call the emotional appeal. And the same technique here was used in the safe home alarm systems, because we have here, it is important and from an emotional view that you want to keep your family safe. So these are the techniques that we have here in our listening lesson, and we have the answers as you can see here. So I hope that you matched each one correctly with the advertisement. Now moving on to another point here. Did you notice the pronunciation? Now once the script was set and we can hear the lecturer just talking, there is something about the pronunciation. Now we did discuss before the pronunciation parts that it is important to make your pronunciation smooth. You don't want it to make it choppy or like a robot. There is another point that we have, that we want our sentences to flow very lightly. And also it is very important to learn how to make your speaking more natural by linking. Now here, the linking part is something very important, and we did take this part by explaining the relationship between vowels, and we have consonant clusters. We also learned how to pronounce the R correctly and how to pronounce the ED in 3 different ways. Now also we have the vowels, as we said here. Now when a word that ends in a vowel sound is followed by a word that begins with a vowel sound, the words are naturally linked to each other. And you can remember the train that we have here just to show the idea of linking together words. Now I'm going to go back to the script that we have here. This is something that we listened to. And you can see that we are going to apply all the different parts of the pronunciation that we took before. Now I'm famous for my smile, but I owe. The vowels here, I owe, the smile to Sparkle Bright toothpaste. More and more people are switching to the refreshment of Dew Top Cola. Don't you want to be one of them? So you can see that we have here the R, we have the ED, we have the consonant clusters, and we do have the vowels. So I'm going to read it quickly, and you're going to see how I link together, and I have the sentence flowing. More and more people are switching to the refreshment of Top Cola. Don't you want to be one of them? So you can see that it is linked together, there is no chopping, and there's no robotic reading. When you're ready to break away from the pack, there's indigo jeans. Think for yourself, indigo jeans. So here, this is an excellent pronunciation for the R. Even though, consonant cluster, even though my mama and I live miles apart, she is always in my heart. That's why I'm sending her a care mark card. Because when you send care mark, you send love to your loved ones, the ED. Imagine if your home was burglarized in the middle of the night. What would you do? How would you keep your family safe? Luckily, with safe home alarms, alarm systems, you never have to worry about the safety of your family and your home. And you can see even at the beginning, imagine if it's linked together. Now, we did study all these parts, and I did mention something about to when we started the lesson. So we're going to go back and think about it. How do you pronounce to correctly? So here, even to is like the ED. There are different ways to pronounce the to. So before I start to explain, I want you just to listen here to the parts and just focus on the to in the sentence. So let's start.
I'm famous for my smile, but I owe that smile to Sparkle Bright toothpaste.
More and more people are switching to the refreshment of Top Cola. Don't you want to be one of them?
When you're ready to break away from the pack, there's indigo jeans. Think for yourself. Indigo jeans.
Even though my mama and I live miles apart, she is always in my heart. That's why I'm sending her a care mark card. Because when you send care mark, you send love to your loved ones.
Imagine if your home was burglarized in the middle of the night. What would you do? How would you keep your family safe? Luckily, with safe home alarm systems, you never have to worry about the safety of your family and your home.
Now, if you noticed that we have here to was pronounced in different ways. Before we go to the pronunciation, let's just go to the very start of to here and know basic things about to here. Now, notes for you to know that, of course, to here is a preposition in the sentence. It is a function word. No, function words are unstressed in a sentence. We do not stress on to while we are pronouncing or saying the sentence unless we do want to stress on the word to. It is reduced, which means the sound will change to smooth out your lines during pronunciation. So naturally, it comes linked with other words here. So it is reduced while the linking part is happening to make your sentences smoother. It is a key part to sounding natural. So we have here a lot of native speakers. If you notice how they pronounce to in the sentence, they do not stress, and it comes out naturally with the flow. So here you can learn how to speak like a native speaker. Now we are going to focus on how the pronunciation is. To on its own is a true T which has an oo sound as in boo. So we do know, like number 2 here, or I want to go to school. So we have here to has the natural sound here that we all know. And then there is another sound. Now when speaking, to will become a true T with the schwa sound. Or it might even become a D sound with the schwa sound. So it can be pronounced as a T with the schwa or a D with the schwa sound. Using the flap T pronunciation will produce even smoother pronunciation. So you can see that we have here three types of pronunciation. It can be pronounced a clear two, and we can pronounce it with a schwa sound, and we can turn it into a D. So if you are just thinking, how can this happen? We are going to apply our examples and practice with me. Now first, let's just explain what is the schwa sound. Now we have here, it is a weak, unstressed sound, and it occurs in many words. It is often the sound in grammar words such as articles and prepositions. Getting the schwa sound correct is a good way of making a pronunciation more accurate and natural. So it is a way to pronounce the words that we have here. As you can see, that it is linked mostly with articles, and we have here prepositions. It is a way to link your words together, and it comes out naturally. So it comes by practice. It's not something that you have to learn separately. Now let's just see here this example. We went to the lecture. We went to the lecture. True T, the schwa sound, we are not pronouncing two T's. We went to the lecture. So we have here, we went to. It is linked or combined together. We went to the lecture. So yes, the T is a true T. You can listen to it very clearly, but at the same time here, we do have to just link them together, and instead of pronouncing two T's, we just have one. We went to the lecture. Come to the event. Also, we have here the T is pronounced as a flap. Come to the event. Now you can see it's not a to with a high or a raised sound. It's a t. It gives you a little bit of a flapping sound. So we have here come to the event. Here, this is the second sound that we have here for the to. And of course, it comes naturally with the sentence. Come to the event. Now we have here, it's not come to the event, come to the event. It's a lower voice. So that's why we have here the lower sound here is called a flapped sound. Let's go to the store. Now, if you can see how I pronounced it, we have here, let's go to the store. Not go to the store, let's go to the store. Now, when you pronounce it here, you can also notice that we have here a light D sound here. Let's go to the store. Let's go to the store. So here, it's not a flapping sound. It is not a true T sound here. We have here a D sound. Let's go to the store. And of course, the schwa sound means that we are linking together, and we have here, there is a kind of linking combination in the word here or in the sound while you are pronouncing. So here is pronounced da. Let's go to the store. I want to do my homework earlier. Not pronouncing two D's here. The first D at the end of wanted is a stop. Then pronounce to with the flap T schwa sound. So just focus. We are not pronouncing the D here. I'm saying I want to do. I want to do. I want to do. So we have here, there is a kind of combination, and I'm linking my sounds together. So I want to do my homework earlier. Now notice that the T sound in the word wanted, the T is dropped. This is not an uncommon practice when the T follows an N. Other examples like center becomes center. We have here, or interview can be pronounced like interview. So we have here sometimes the sound totally disappears and you pronounce it in another sound here. So just to practice again with me, let's read it word by word, and then we'll read it linking together so you can know the difference between them. So first we have here, I wanted to do my homework earlier. I wanted to do my homework earlier. I wanted to do my homework earlier. I wanted to do, so there is no T, wanted, and then there is the schwa sound, so I wanted to do my homework earlier. Now here, you can practice as much as you can. You do know that to here has different sounds that you can apply. And of course, it depends on the complete sentence, on the words that you are relating and pronouncing together. So dropping this true T makes speech smoother. Don't forget to reduce and link the word to. it's a very important part of the stressed, unstressed nature of English. So when you are pronouncing here any sentence in the English language, there are two things that you are doing. You are reducing and you are linking together. And of course, the reducing and linking, this helps your sentence to be more smooth. We have here, there's no chopping, and of course, there is a flow in your sentence. So remember that there are several ways to pronounce the T here in the lesson. So at the end of our lesson, we did a lot here. Now, first, we had the listening part. And in the listening part, we had a lecture. The lecture was about the advertisement techniques that we have in general. And we matched between the different techniques and the different advertisement that we had in the lesson. And then we moved on to the other part, which is pronunciation. We added to the parts that we studied before. We studied the R, we studied the ED, the consonant clusters, and we also had the linking vowels together. And in Unit 5, we added our fifth part of the pronunciation lessons, which is how to pronounce to correctly. Now you can see here that to is actually pronounced correctly or truly as in boo. A true T with the schwa sound, this is a way to pronounce the to. And then we have here a D sound with the schwa sound. So we have here a duh sound. And then we have the flap T pronunciation to make it not a very high sound, but a lower in your pronunciation. And while we are pronouncing the to here, we are linking our sounds together. Now, if you notice that we have a lot of things that we can link together, we can pronounce the R, we can also pronounce the ED and link with to, as well as the consonant clusters, and also we have here our linking vowels. So it is something that you do have to be aware of at the beginning when you are trying and you are practicing your pronunciation. But once you have got the idea in your mind, it will be easy to apply, and you do have the way to apply as a native speaker and speak like a native speaker, but you have to just practice more and more. So this is our lesson for the day. We have our listening part and we have our pronunciation. Now tomorrow, inshallah, we are going to practice the sentences that we have in the book. Now I do hope that you practice your language and practice the to sound, which we are going to apply together, inshallah, in the next lesson. So be ready, practice as much as you can, and we'll see you soon.